Hello, welcome back to my garden. Today, I'm going to be working on doing that last minute grab of things that need to go into the greenhouse because thanks to the Canadians who've just dumped a whole bunch of cold air into the Midwest of the country, that cold air is now blowing eastward. Map looks something like this, and it's all headed right for me. So we're supposed to get our first freeze or frost. Really, it's going to be our first frost. The temperature's not supposed to get to freezing. It may, but it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be about 34 degrees. So that's not good for many of the plants here. And I have been lucky up to this point, and this is one of the things I do enjoy about being here in Growing Zone 8B. My growing season is longer than maybe many of you who are in colder climates throughout the country. If it wasn't for this weird weather phenomenon, things would still be hunky-dory because the rest of the week we're supposed to be in the 60s with nighttime temperatures in the mid to high 40s, if not 50s. Nowhere near freezing, nowhere near cold. The biggest detriment to the plants at this time of year is just the shorter daylight hours. But unfortunately, frost is coming, freeze is coming, and that's going to wind up tipping a lot of the more tender plants over that edge, and this is the way it goes. So today we're going to go around the garden, we're going to grab a few plants, bring them into the greenhouse. As you can hopefully see, I've already been doing that. I have quite a few plants in here, geraniums, I have some salvias, some succulents, a few other items, but we're still going to go grab a few more. Bring them in here, this way they'll be safe for that freeze/frost. And then we're going to talk about a few of the other things that's happening here around the garden. All right, here we are on the back deck of my house. And this year I put a lot of plants up here and I really enjoyed it. I have approximately 2-acre garden, but there's a lot of plants that I can't put elsewhere because A, the deer eat them, or B, the fire ants will eat them. I'm definitely going to do this again next year, and I'll probably add more pots up here just so there's more flowers, there's more to look at. It'll just be that much nicer. But there's quite a few things up here that won't enjoy the frost or the freeze. So I'm going to take them down to the greenhouse. It's one of the reasons I got the greenhouse. First, I'm going to grab this Mexican cigar plant. This is my only Mexican cigar plant. You can see it is flowering. Unfortunately, by the time it started flowering this year, which is really weird, the hummingbird left. Either way, this is going down in the greenhouse, and I have to try to remember to repot this one next year because it's been in the same pot for 2 years now, and I'm sure it would enjoy a repotting and a refresh. Another plant that's going to go into the greenhouse for the winter is this hot lip salvia. It's one of the more tender salvias from my understanding. So yeah, we're going to put this in the greenhouse. Now this plant, I'm not going to put into the greenhouse yet. This is a dahlia. It's a mixed dahlia, so it grew this from seed. I believe I got some flowers off of it this year, which was quite nice. But this plant I'm actually going to leave outside the greenhouse tonight. I'll let the frost take the plant down. It will kill off the top growth here because it's all tender. But then after it all dies down, I'll cut it back, clean it up, and then I'll put it into the greenhouse over winter until next spring, and then I'll bring it out and it can do its thing all over again. Now, one plant I'm not sure about taking into the greenhouse. I'm thinking about just letting the cold maybe knock it back and then cut it back and leave it up here for the winter is penstemon. I have this flock of flamingos penstemon. Bought it as a small plant this year. Let it grow up. It's wonderful. I love it. Actually, it's fantastic. Put out beautiful pink flowers, but I'm not sure if I should take it into the greenhouse or just let it overwinter out here on the back deck, and then it'll spring back come the springtime. Not sure about that. One other plant I am sure that is going to go into the greenhouse, pineapple sage. As you can see, this one's got quite a bit of growth. I'm sure a lot of this will again get knocked back over the next month or so with the colder weather, but I'll just trim it up and then I'll just leave it in maybe on the floor of the greenhouse until next spring. Potatoes. I'm growing a bag of potatoes here. This is definitely going in the greenhouse. I don't know how this is going to fare overnight, but we'll give it a try. I think I'm going to put this up on the bench where it'll be warmer, and if it continues to grow for me, great. The longer the plant grows, the bigger the potatoes get, theoretically. Possibly, maybe. And hopefully I'll be harvesting this. Well, we'll see. If the top foliage can't take the cold tonight, even in the enclosed greenhouse, then I'll harvest it sooner than later. Potatoes will probably be small, but I'll save them as seed potatoes for next spring. Sedums can stay, they'll be fine. I have 2 dahlias here. My plan with the dahlias right now is to let the freeze take them, just like that potted one. And then once the freeze takes them, I'm gonna cut them back. And I think because the pots are so large and growing zone 8B, our ground doesn't freeze here. We're supposed to have a warmer than normal winter. So I'm thinking I'm gonna leave these two plants up here on the back deck, and I'll just, again, once the freeze takes them tonight, I'll just cut them down and I'll leave them here for the winter. That's my thinking. This is my Earth Angel rosebush, and it's been doing such crazy growth here lately. In fact, a couple of the branches here getting tangled up. It needs a trim back. I will wait until after tonight, maybe even another couple of weeks, and then I'll give this a nice trim back, taking it down probably halfway at least, and then it'll be good for the winter. Still smells great. We'll see what it does after tonight. These are two little daylilies. I think they would be okay out here. Daylilies are pretty hardy plants, but I'm not 100% sure about the pots. I don't think these are frost-proof pots, and even though we're not supposed to get a heavy freeze or frost, I think I'm still going to be cautious and take these into the greenhouse. Some of these plants right here, I'm sorry, the shade and the light and the sun, this is probably a little hard to see. If it is, I do apologize. Some of these plants right here are the plants that are going to the greenhouse. I have a marigold here, that'll be knocked back. It'll go into the compost. Same thing with this zinnia. I'm going to try to overwinter this angel wings, I believe this is what it's called, plant. It's held up pretty well for me this year. It was an extra that my wife had gotten earlier in the year for a display, and I just put it into this pot, and it seems to be, it's gone through a lot. It's still hanging in there. So I think I want to try putting it into the greenhouse. We'll see what happens. I have a small Carolina lupine right here, which I tried growing from seed, and it has survived the year. So this will also be going into the greenhouse, and then next springtime, I'm going to try to plant it out into the yard, and we will see what happens. There's a Transylvania sage. I have to do my homework on this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it into the greenhouse. Betones, they'll be fine out here. I have a lavender, that'll be fine. And there's a peace lily in the bottom over here. This will go inside the house. We have a little shelf at the back door for house plants. It's been loving life outside, but now the cooler temperatures are coming and freezes, peace lily will not hold up to that, so that'll go into the house. So that's about all I've got going on right here on the back deck. So let me throw all this stuff into the greenhouse, and then we'll talk about a few other things around the garden. Well, here we are. I'm not sure if you could see, but I have a couple of sedums and the potatoes there on the bottom. You know, I said I was going to put the potatoes up on the bench, so let's do that now. I think what I'm going to do is move some of this junk over on the side here. Let's put this more in the direct sun. All right, so the potatoes we have over there, pineapple sage, various other small plants, sedums. I have geraniums, salvias. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm pretty good here for the winter so far as the plants that I want to save over the winter. Now, there's a variety of plants that I am going to be bringing into the greenhouse after the freeze takes them. And that's going to be hostas that I have in pots. I'll let the top foliage die back after the frost, and then I will bring those pots and I will put them either down here or on this side. So I'll put them someplace here in the greenhouse. They'll actually probably go on the bench over on this side, because hopefully by mid-December I have my potting shed built, and a lot of the junk that's on this side of the greenhouse will be gone, and then I'll have all this bench space for the plants. The potted dahlias, again, I'll let the freeze take them back, and then I'll just trim off the foliage, much as I would with the dahlias that I leave in ground. Again, I'm in growing zone 8B. I can, and I have, and I will leave my dahlias in the ground over the winter. The only precaution I will take is I will probably add a couple of inches, 2 to 3 inches of mulch over the top to help keep the dahlias in the ground, free from any frost or excess moisture, that kind of thing. But they should be okay in the ground over the winter. The potted ones I will bring in here just because they're in pots. And if we do get a severe cold snap, let's say 20 degrees, 10 degrees, which has happened, it's rare, but it has happened, then being in pots make them more vulnerable versus in the ground. So I will bring those pots in here once they die back. Same thing with the hostas, as I just mentioned. Out here in what was the no-cut flower garden this year, as you can see, I still have some marigolds lingering on. Actually, they're doing quite well. They enjoy the cooler weather, obviously, and they've been fabulous. Just adding a little bit of splash of color here at the end of the season, but unfortunately, I think the freeze or the frost tonight will take them down and or out. If so, I will rip them all out. Off to the compost pile they go, which also means I can get rid of these sunflower stalks that you see standing here. I kind of left them here because if I pulled them up, I'd be pulling up marigolds which were interplanted amongst them. So I kind of just left them here, and it adds a little bit of support for the plants too. But all this will get cleaned out. The only spot that will not be getting cleaned out is this row right here, where I have black-eyed Susans and echinacea. I'll just simply let them die back to the ground as they naturally would, put a light layer of hay on top of them, let them overwinter, and then next year they'll pop back up. So that's what's happening in this space. There's one other thing in the vegetable garden that is actually still growing that after tomorrow won't be. I lied. There's a few things. I often forget about some of the things that are growing just because, well, they don't need much attention and they just do their own thing until they don't. First is peanuts. Peanuts have been going since the summertime. They're looking great, but that first frost or freeze was going to take them out tomorrow, which is fine. I will then pull that up and I will harvest my peanuts, and then we'll see what we'll get from this year's peanuts. In the back, I have a few more plants. Right here, I have tomato plants, which I started late in the season, and I thought maybe I could get just a few more tomatoes out of them before the freeze. Were it not for this weird phenomenon that's hitting us overnight, then I probably would, but I'm pretty sure that the freeze is going to take them out. So tomorrow will be cleanup duty, sadly, for these, and I will not get any more tomatoes out of them this year, which is very sad. Tucked in over here, I have a pepper plant. It's a jalapeno. That still has some peppers on it. I will harvest them, give them away. I think I have a friend who likes jalapenos, so I'll be giving them away. And then I have a marigold. If the marigold survives the frost, great. If it doesn't, out it comes. This whole bed next year is going to become my new herb bed. And I'll talk more about that next spring when we make the herb bed. Currently, my current herb bed is looking sad and a little under the weather, but I haven't been giving it much love, knowing that I'm going to be starting a whole new herb bed. This bed over here will become ginger next year. So I'm going to grow ginger. I've never grown ginger before, but I hear it's very similar to turmeric. You can see my turmeric is looking a little long in the tooth, but it's still throwing up new growth, surprisingly. The freeze or the frost tonight will most definitely take this out, seeing as it's a tender plant, which is fine. I will then cut it back and then dig out the turmeric root, and Christmas presents for everyone, because there's going to be a lot of turmeric. One of the advantages of living in growing zone 8B is I don't have to pull up my dahlias. Right here in the flower garden is my dahlia bed. Wasn't a great year for dahlias, but I did get some dahlias that came up, put on good shows. They got pretty big, which means the tubers underneath the ground are pretty big, which means there'll be a better chance, in my opinion, of them surviving the winter. So once they all die back, then I will just simply mulch over the top, put them to sleep for the year. Bob's your uncle. Right here is my hardy banana tree. This is the first year I got it at a plant show in the springtime. I planted it. I got it as a little thing, and it's gotten this big this year. It's just fantastic. This thing has been awesome, and it's been on my wish list of plants to get when I moved to North Carolina 5 years ago. The other plant I haven't gotten, which I still want, which is still on my wish list, is a palm. I can only grow certain types of palms down here due to the cold temperatures that we do get. We do get freezes, we do get frosts, but there are some that I can grow. So hopefully one day, maybe, if I hit the lotto, I'll get myself a palm tree as well. But this hardy banana tree, I have a neighbor who has one in their backyard right across the street, and they don't do anything to it all year long, ever. It just dies back. The leaves drop off by the springtime because it all just, it all turns brown and all, and then starts sprouting up anew again, which is pretty awesome. So I'm thinking, and if you guys think I'm wrong or have a better suggestion, please let me know in those comments below. But I'm thinking I'm just going to let this guy die back, leave all the dead leaves here. It'll look terrible, I know. That's fine. Those dead leaves will provide insulation for around the plant. In fact, I don't know if you guys can see, but I have quite a few dead leaves already accumulating at the base, and that'll be good because it'll help just insulate the plant that much more. So that's my plan for this year. A tropical plant that I will be getting rid of this year is my canna. I've mentioned this before in other videos. I'm going to be digging all these canna up because this is 3 plants. It started as 3 plants. You can now see it's pretty massive. Pretty much goes to the back of the bed. It's pushing out towards the side of the bed. It's pushed out towards the front. It's a thug. So out it comes, and what I'm probably going to do is save a few of the roots or root pieces and then replant them within a metal ring. And then hopefully they come next spring when they grow back, because they will grow back. They're like weeds down here. They will grow back. But hopefully that ring will keep them contained within the space that I want them and not take over the entire flower bed. But the freeze will definitely kill these guys back, so all of this will be getting cut back, and I'll be digging these out over the next few weeks. This is my second Salvia Amistad plant, and the first one didn't survive the winter. I believe it was maybe a little too cold, or it wasn't established enough. This one has been in the ground now, I think most, if not all of the summer. It's been doing fabulous, and I'm gonna leave it in the ground. Now, a wise man probably wouldn't do it. A wise man would probably cut it back and dig it up and take it out. But again, my ground doesn't freeze. So my plan with this plant is to simply, once the cold takes it tonight, is to cut it back and then do a nice mulch over the top, which I'm hopeful will keep the plant, especially if our winter is supposed to be warmer than normal, but it'll keep the plant warm enough throughout the winter, and then come the springtime, hopefully it pops back up and continues to grow. Right here's more canna, and as you can see, it's pushing in over towards this crepe myrtle. This crepe myrtle and another crepe myrtle that I have out over in the rose garden, I'm gonna be giving both of them some severe pruning. So I'm gonna wait about a month before I do that, and when I do, I'll bring you guys along for that. But all these, this is another clump, as you can see, of the canna that's gonna be coming out of the ground. Right here in front of me though, I have a calla lily, and it is, you can see it's gone over, it's just done. But they're multiplying, they're not really spreading, but they are, there's lots of stems here, which means they're multiplying underground. So my plan for this space is once the canna are out, take these calla lilies, since I really do enjoy them, spread them out a bit more. This way, over the next few years, instead of having just a little clump right here, I'll have a much bigger space filled with the beautiful, beautiful calla lilies. This empty space right here used to have canna in it, and it was one of the areas where I dug canna out. But having cleared out the canna now presents me with more opportunities for new things to go in. I have to add some mulch to the area, and I think I'm going to add in some composted horse manure that I have into the space as well. And I'm going to do that throughout this bed as well. I have some gladioli, which the leaves still haven't come off yet, but again, the frost or the freeze tonight will help with that. There's also some dahlias in this bed. I will simply mark them where they are because not all of them have tags, and I want to make sure that I don't dig them up come the springtime. I will just cut them back, mark them where they are, cut them back, and let them rest for the winter. I'll put a layer of mulch, as much as I'm going to do with my dahlia bed over there. These mums might go over, and when they do, I'll just simply trim them back, and that'll be that. And very briefly, here in the rose garden, I'm going to be doing basically a lot of the same that I'm doing out in the flower garden. There'll be cleanup, there'll be weeding, there'll be cutting back. The one thing I do have in this space, which has gotten a beating this year, are my roses. If you're not aware, I live in an area with herds of deer that just love to come through. And this year, I didn't put up much of a fight when it came to the roses and the deer, because the rose garden is going to get a makeover. I don't know if I've mentioned this in previous videos, and I'm not going to go into massive detail about it today, but the rose garden is going to get a makeover next year. When I started the rose garden, no idea what I'm doing. Today, I still have 5 years on, I still have very little idea what I'm doing, but over the winter, I'm going to be doing some reading. I purchased a bunch of different books on designing rose gardens. Bed shape and depths are going to be basically the same. They're going to be 12-foot deep beds. But I'm going to do things like take the roses, which are in the back of the beds, and I'm going to pull them forward. I think it was this year or late last year, I had some people come through the garden. I was giving them a little bit of a tour, and they each had to step into the beds to smell the roses. What's the point of having a rose way in the back of the bed if people can't? People like to smell roses, right? So the rose garden itself is going to get a bit of a redo. I'm going to be making many other changes to the rose garden, including closing it off from the deer, because I've had enough. I've tried different ways and shapes of keeping them. I didn't want the space to be enclosed per se. I didn't want to build a fence around it, but unfortunately, it is what it is. I can't find a good, solid way of keeping the deer out other than fencing. First, we'll be cleaning this space up, cutting back many of the plants that need to be cut back for the winter. And then I'll be coming through and I'll be trimming up my roses. preparing them again for, the deer have done most of the work for me, but I can trim back the stems and prepare them for next year. So if you guys want to see that, let me know and I'll bring you guys along for that ride. Quick side note, here's a gate that will eventually lead into a shade garden. Doesn't look very shady now on the other side of the fence, but give it 5 years and it'll be different. Anyway, this is just one of the measures that I'm taking to keep the deer out. Yes, I know deer can jump up to 12 feet, but I have lazy deer. If they don't have to jump something, they're not going to jump something. They'll walk around it. And I know this because I only have a 4-foot fence around the vegetable garden, and they've never gone into the vegetable garden. So this gate will hopefully help keep the deer out. As you can see, I already have some fencing up. This winter, once I finalize the designs of the rose garden, I'll obviously be sharing that all with you guys in the springtime. Right here in front of the greenhouse door, I have a dahlia and a penstemon. The penstemon, I think I can leave out over the winter because I have penstemons out in the flower garden, and this is it's a fairly sizable pot, so I think it'll be okay. I'll just probably leave it up on the potting bench for the winter. Dahlia, I will let the cold kill it back, knock it back, and then I'll just cut it back. And as with the dahlias that I took off of the back deck, I'll just put it into the greenhouse for the winter. So that's really what's going on here right now in and around the garden. I am lucky enough again to be in growing zone 8B where the ground doesn't freeze and I can leave so many plants in the ground that I couldn't if I lived in a more northern climate like I used to in New York. I would have to dig up so many of these plants and right now I would be doing a mad scramble with this sudden. I think I first heard about this on Friday or Saturday, which means I would have been spending the weekend running around digging up all sorts of plants to bring into the greenhouse or put them away in the garage, things like that, just to get them away from the cold. Like that hardy banana, I would have dug that up. The Amistad definitely would have dug that up. All my dahlias would have had to come out of the ground, as I used to do up in New York. But down here in growing zone 8B, where the ground doesn't freeze, we're good. But as you saw, some plants went into the greenhouse, and this is one of the reasons why I bought the greenhouse, so I could overwinter various plants here. I could try to grow things during the winter time in the greenhouse, which I'm not doing this year, and I explained in other videos. And the last thing I forgot to mention, which is behind the camera there, are my 4 citrus trees. I have 2 lemons, an orange, and a key lime. They'll all get squished into here. So the tools that are back in the corner over there, I'm gonna have to take out, and I'll have to pull them. I'm not going to bore you guys with that right now, but I'm going to drag these things into the greenhouse, and they'll stay there until the springtime or that danger of freeze has gone away. After tonight, what I may wind up doing is dragging them back out here and then just leaving them here around the doorway of the greenhouse. I've done this in years past, and this way, if there is that chance of sudden frost or freeze, I can quickly drag them back inside. But I'll only do that for the next month or so. And then December, January, February, and March, depending upon the weather, they stay inside the greenhouse. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, things that you're doing in your garden to prepare for winter or already have prepared, then leave those comments below. Do you guys wrap your citrus trees in fleece and leave them out? Do you don't? I don't know what you guys do. So let me know what you guys do in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video. This way you won't miss whatever antics I have going on around here in the garden. Sophie here would much appreciate it. She hasn't made you haven't been on camera in a while, have you? I mean, you've been running around the background, but not really up close. With all that being said, I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Come on, Sophie.